What up? It's Jack, aka Just a Cunt here, and today we will be discussing my UFC Hot Takes. Little generic, I know, but nonetheless, let's get into it. Cody Garbrandt was never that good. Now, starting off, he is a style merchant. This has two meanings. One being that he loves to aura farm. The second, he even touches an opponent, he is going to start dancing, gonna start doing some prime Fortnite emotes. This man is never one to miss the opportunity to rack up points in the judge's eyes like Prime Marab. Alright. As well, he only beat Dominic Cruz, and I mean this genuinely, not because he's as good as a fighter as him, but because he is a style that perfectly can beat Dominic. And not only that, this shouldn't be a hot take as well. That fight was 3-2 where Dominic was winning the majority of the time before he got caught. Y'all let the emotes guide you. You think it's cool. He has cool tattoos, nice hair. You know what I mean? You guys like the image, the idea of Cody Garbrandt. He's a nice story. Don't get me wrong. I like the kid. All right. I like the kid. All right. He's a good kid. He's a good kid. Yeah. All right. Good kid. But nonetheless, he never had good defense. Got dropped by Dominic Cruz. That is embarrassing. He has no bag. He relies on big winging hooks. He has explosive takedown defense. He has one decent win. And I hate this about MMA fans. He has 0 elite wins. His best win is arguably, besides Dominic Cruz, Rafael Assunção. You could probably argue that's his second best win. And if you look at that KO, what the fuck was Rafael doing? What was the game plan? My man literally saw him duck down and decided to drop his hands and swing a hook from his hip at him. Most retarded shit I've ever seen. And Cody got the knockoff off him. Good for him. Good job. Give him a little layup. Nonetheless, he has no bag. There's a reason why. He is only thing he's added to his game is a shitty Mortal Kombat sweep that doesn't work. And I remember this in his Rob Font fight. This fucking cunt decided to try the same move. His fight IQ is so low. He literally looked at Rob Font, went to the back of the fence, and ducked down like Rob Font was like, let's wing it uppercut. Retarded. I like Cody. He seems cool. He's a little stupid, but at the end of the day, he just doesn't have the consistency. Even if you want to say he magically went out of his prime after dropping TJ Dillashaw in the first round, as soon as that second round started, his prime ended. That does not help him. That means he has a horrible prime. I don't know what changed. As far as I know, he didn't have any groundbreaking injuries. He fought the exact same. When he fought Pedro Munoz, he would have always fought like that. He's someone that had a very good performance against a high-level window where Dominic Cruz is a good win, but I think nowadays a lot of people would still beat Dominic Cruz more impressively than Cody did. I think Peter Yan does. I think Sean O'Malley does. I think Marab does. I think Umar does. Maybe that's a hot take for some of y'all, but I don't think Dominic Cruz had any of the tools required to compete with the top-level guys nowadays. Now, I know he had a lot of injuries, Dominic Cruz specifically, so we never really got to see a best Cruz. He probably could have involved in some way, but that's... If my aunts had fucking wheels, she'd be a car, you know what I mean? So nonetheless, I don't want to say all bad things about Cody Garbrandt. I don't think he's the worst fighter in the world by any means, but I think he has no bag. He has shitty kicks. Doesn't implement a jab, doesn't implement wrestling, doesn't really have good jiu-jitsu, isn't elite really anywhere, is very fast, has decent power, and when I say decent power, I mean that a lot of his knockouts are relied on just winging the biggest shot in the world very fast, unexpectedly, and he doesn't have good competition. He doesn't beat good many guys. He hasn't been on a win streak since he won the fucking belt. He lost against TJ Dillashaw, which, okay, fair enough, TJ Dillashaw, KO'd by Pedro Munoz, KO'd by fucking Kai Cara France, all right? Anyway, I don't want to rag on him too much. Cody's cool, great beard. I am jealous of that. Moving on. Max Holloway is the second best lightweight in the world right now. Now that Islam left, if Islam was here, I'd say the third best. I don't think he's better than Islam. And I think Islam is a very hard fight stylistically as well. But I think Islam is a hard fight for everyone stylistically because he's, he has a fucking bag unlike some people. But we'll have a bag when you have a perfect beard. Shout out Cody Garbrandt. He was arguably beating Ilya. It was an incredibly close competitive fight. And not only that, he was fighting Ilya in the way that Ilya wins, right? He wasn't implementing takedowns. He wasn't clinching with him. He was throwing some oblique kicks, but he was mostly boxing. He was fighting how Max Holloway fights and boxing heavy. He is also a big lightweight. He has a frame that he looked bigger than Gaethje out there, and Gaethje's in a small lightweight. Besides Islam, I don't see him really being outsized by everyone. I think him and Charles are a similar size. He's still young. He is, I believe, 32. He is right now hitting the prime. Now, maybe that Ilya KO can change some things. Maybe he's not as durable, At least right now, he is either at his prime or very close to it. And also over that, out of all of Gaethje's losses to Poirier, Eddie Alvarez, Charles, in my opinion, Max and Khabib have the best ones. And I'd probably argue that Max is better in some ways. So far that he beat Justin in the way you Khabib took down and choked down Justin. I don't want to say that's easy necessarily, but if you're gonna beat Justin, that's generally the way you're gonna do it. But standing in front of him, rocking him, using kicks, breaking his nose, knocking him out cold, he fought him in a way that, before this, when I watched that Dustin fight against Gaethje, I was like, damn, Justin's actually pretty elite. He's probably gonna catch most guys and hurt most guys. Don't get me wrong, he dropped Max on his ass for a second, but it wasn't really a knockdown. Didn't really seem hurt. But that's one of the best performances of a top contender against another top contender. Even on the feet, Khabib didn't really want to mess with Gaethje. No one's ever done that to Gaethje like he did. And after watching that fight, I'm actually pretty confident that Holloway's going to beat Dustin. Even if I think it's a little bit different just because Max isn't really going to throw up a crazy head kick like that. And I don't want to say Gaethje's wins was fluky necessarily, but I think it's just a different style. As well, I think he beats Paddy Pimblett pretty easily. I think he stops the takedowns and just beats him on the feet. I think he beats Dustin, even though it's a little bit difficult stylistically. He obviously beat Gaethje again. He beats Oliveira, especially now. I've always thought he beats Oliveira. I always thought he's been one of the worst styles for Oliveira, just because great chin, great volume, good solid takedown defense, good jiu-jitsu defense that I feel like Oliveira would have to fluke a submission. And hot take, I think he can still beat Ilya. I think he most likely would get caught again and KO'd, of course, but I think he still has the tools necessary to keep up with Ilya, and I think he could still hurt Ilya. I think if he lands a knee on Ilya, he can hurt him. I think if he lands, really good shots on Ilya, he still can hurt him. And I think that if he tweaks some things here and there and stays sharp, now obviously that's easier said than done against Ilya the fucking Topuria. I think he is someone that can beat Ilya 3 out of 10 times. He has methods of victories to do it, unlike someone like Justin Gaethje, who I think has 0 ways of beating Ilya under any circumstances. I feel like he isn't technical enough to compete with him. Arman Tsarukyan is the only interesting one. Max hasn't really fought any great grapplers. He did get taken down by Ilya, did get taken down by Volk, which doesn't speak well to compete with someone like Arman Tsarukyan. But at the same time, I feel like this is like the Sean O'Malley Peter Yan situation where he got taken down by Peter Yan, but Aljamain couldn't find that same success. And I feel like it's just because different game plans are going to be differently. Max Holloway is going to be far more focused on stopping the takedown than he is going to be against Ilya Topuria and Volkanovski. And I think that there's nothing Arman could do to him on the feet. So, in my opinion, I think he beats Arman. I think he beats Paddy. Paddy could actually be kind of interesting, but I think he beats him pretty easily. Dustin, Justin. So besides Ilya and Islam, I would pick Max to beat every single lightweight right now. And I think that just speaks to the greatness of Max Holloway. I think if it wasn't with other two greats, it would have been up there. Nonetheless, Conor McGregor versus Islam Makhachev is interesting. And by the way, I'm talking about prime Conor. I'm not talking if Conor came back and fought him. I'm talking about prime Conor. Let's just say Eddie Alvarez. Maybe you could say Khabib-ish just because he did perform quite well against Khabib. But, prime lightweight Conor. He fights Islam instead of Eddie. He's the champ at the time. I think it's a very interesting fight. In my opinion, styles make fights. And Conor, who is someone that I think stylistically against Islam in the striking is someone I think can do quite well. Mainly because Islam, the way he boxes in a way that does good to get pressure off of him. But I also think if someone's sharp enough, where I feel like Poirier's not the greatest counter puncher, I feel like someone like Conor can sneak in strikes there and not KO Islam just out cold, but I think that he can rock Islam, put him off his feet. I think if Volkanovski, who's a worse power striker than Conor is, in my opinion, can make Islam look uncomfortable at times and stumble him back and hurt him at times, I think Conor can too. And I think also if Dustin Poirier saying motherfucker to him was enough to get him like pissed off at Dustin, I think prime Conor mind games would absolutely fuck with Islam. And I think if Islam starts to be aggressive with overhands and tries to hurt Conor, I think that gives Conor opportunities to counter him and drop and KO Islam. And as well, I think Khabib, I've kind of come to terms with this, I think Khabib is just a better wrestler than Islam. For a while, I always wondered, well, did the game evolve? Did someone like Poirier get someone like Gramrot? Was he able to change his game? And, Duo was a really good night, but, this, that, and the other. And don't get me wrong, I think Islam is a much better wrestler than Conor. But looking at those early scrambles, Conor was able to defend some takedowns. And I think while Conor does have a lot of skills to compete with Islam, I think kick-wise can be interesting. I think he can mix it up. I think his takedown defense is quite good. I think the main reason why it's probably still end up picking Islam in a 5-rounder championship event, like how I'm stating against in the Eddie Alvarez, he replaces Eddie. Conor's gas tank, I just think would be very difficult to maintain with Islam, especially because Islam's so good at wrapping up a submission, especially even compared to Khabib, he's very good at that. I think that if Conor, even if I could see him winning the first 2.5 rounds, in those from the late third to the fourth to maybe even the fifth, I think that's going to be a very big danger zone where now Conor's going to be a little bit tired, going to be trying to hurt Islam, because I feel like on the feet, after Conor loses that pop, it becomes a lot more competitive, that at a certain point, Conor's going to be pushed against the fence, going to be taken down, going to accept bottom guard, going to try and just mitigate damage. And if Conor, who hasn't really been shown to fight out of submissions, that if he's exhausted, he's hurt, he's kind of willing to get choked out. If he gets to, if Islam's able to put him in that position, which I think he does have the tools to do so, I think he can break Conor and choke him out. But I do think Conor has a very good style to knock out Islam in the first 2 rounds. And if Conor's able to survive that and he's able to hurt Islam enough up to that point and get a second win like against Nate, I think he could pull off a very close decision. Now, I'm not saying Conor wins. I'm not saying Islam, just fucking, just so much worse than Khabib, this, that, the other. But I do think Conor can make things interesting. I think he can beat Islam 3 to 4 times out of 10. And I think he is someone that, in a lot of these what-ifs matchups, should be considered more, because he can be a cheat code against a lot of guys who, like against a Volkanovski, I think he could beat a Volkanovski. I think he could still, beat some of these guys that maybe out of his league legacy-wise. Conor, if he's able to be at his prime and his best for a single fight, does have the tools to beat some of these all-time greats. Nonetheless, moving on to the next hot take. Hamza Chimaev could have been a Reach 3 division champ. Were my not like old MMA fans, cause he was recently. Y'all remember Prime Hamza? I ain't talking about right. I'm talking about Hamza Fight Night, Fight Island. I'm pretty sure it was the Whitaker Darren Till card. Coming in there, choking him out. Coming like the week after on like the Woodley Colby card. I forget exactly the timeline, but something like this. And then knocking out Gerald Meerschaert. And now I'm looking at the champs and seeing how they fought. He had a very solid chance if things went well, if he didn't get COVID, he was able to stay at welterweight, this, that, the other, that. As someone that used to really hate on Hamza and doubt him a lot and didn't want him to succeed, I think this young brother could have beaten Leon Scott. Usman, I don't think he would have beaten Usman, but if say Leon gets the belt, I think he would have definitely beaten Leon pretty easily. I think he beats Israel Adesanya also pretty easily. I'm sorry, if DDP is just dragging you around and choking you out, and you're trying tricks on him, bro, it's not going on. Now, around this time, it would have been Jan Blachowicz, Jiri Prochazka. It's hard to say, you know, depending on how everything turns out, because it's all what if. I think against Jiri Prochazka, he probably loses. I don't think he can beat Jiri. Now, Glover did get very close to some chokes. I do think Khamzat is a level above Glover, but I also know Glover is quite a bit bigger than Khamzat. A little bit bulk to him, a little bit more old man things to him. And also on the feet, Khamzat seems to like to brawl. It seems like he gets to that mode, or if he gets frustrated, if his technical striking is basically just landing the jab. He's literally just jabbing at you at range. And if you're not fucking Gilbert Burns that gets dropped by a jab once a fight, I don't think that's really going to work against Jiri. And I think Jiri is wild enough to win that type of exchange. Now against Jamal Hill, same thing. Jamal Hill's kind of like a joke now, but like he did defend all the takedowns from Glover very clearly. And on the feet, I think he probably would be able to beat Khamzat, especially with the size advantage. It just depends how washed you think Glover was, which I think he was pretty washed, and also how much better you think Khamzat is than him, period, at any form in terms of pure grappling. Now, I guess Alex Pereira. Bro, Israel Adesanya held his ass down for a round and dominated him, bro. That still happened. Jiri took him down. I know Magomed failed the takedown, but was Magomed really trying to take down Pereira? I know we talk about how, like, he said he was going to stay in the strike or something, but then he, like, hold him. I low-key feel like Magomed did really kind of want to win on the feet, and he did. Now, I feel like if he got hurt and stuff, he'd really try to bank on takedowns more, but, like, rewatching that fight, I don't think Magomed, I feel like in this rematch, too, I feel like he may try to just wrestle with him way more. And also, Khamzat's just a better wrestler than Magomed, at least offensively. And I feel like being shorter than Magomed, because Khamzat's like 6'2", he's not like crazy, but I feel like that size disadvantage in terms of height may help him, because I feel like with Pereira's long, tall frame that's able to get like pushed over like a tree, I feel like someone like Khamzat, who shoots like 3 centimeters off the ground, is someone that, like, in terms of like wrestling stylistically, who Pereira can defend against. I feel like Khamzat's one of the worst ones. And the second he gets that to the ground, you cannot convince me otherwise that Pereira's lasting more than one round with Khamzat on him, trying to actively choke him out. He's getting darced, he's getting choked out. Now, nowadays, it's difficult just because it's hard time. Well, Khamzat doesn't fight nearly as often. He has to get past DDP, who's a much harder fight than Israel. He'd have to drop down and fight JDM or Islam, which is harder fight for him than Leon. And moving up, fighting Magomed. Now, I know I just said that he's a better wrestler than Magomed. That's a very hard fight for Khamzat. That's one of the worst fights. But nonetheless, moving on. None of these are necessarily, I think, to be 100% the case, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all had fun. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you do, Chris. Have a good one.